listen to these shows.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy Monday. It's that time again. Matt Connarton Unleashed, and we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. And hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. Today is Monday, August 15, 2022. I do want to remind you, of course, we are proudly sponsored by the Hop Knot, but don't go there today because Monday and Tuesday is their weekend, but they are open Wednesday through Sunday. They've got those delicious gourmet pretzels. They've got an assortment of craft beer. They've got all kinds of things going on, all kinds of events. They had a pretty big Saturday, lots of live music, and congratulations to everyone who performed there at the Hop Knot over the weekend. I also want to remind you, of course, and if you're watching online, I've got the hat on today, painspecialtygroup.com is the website. If you'd like to check out Pain Specialty Group, you do not have to live in pain. They have all kinds of solutions for people living with chronic pain. And they came on as a sponsor at the beginning, finally, officially at the beginning of this month, and we're very happy about that. If you would like to join me on the program today, there is an open phone line for you at 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476, tweet me at Matt Connarton, or send an email to matt@mattconnerton.com. And, of course, you can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat. But the best thing to do so that we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007. Let's say hello to everybody in the Facebook live chat. Rocky Huber joins us and says, hope you used your mental floss today. Why? Because hygiene is important. Yes, we'll come back to that, Rocky. And by the way, to answer your question, though, immediately, no, I did not mentally floss today. You'll all understand in a moment. I have something to explain about that. Newer listeners might be confused, but all will be clear. All will be explained in a moment, but we'll say hello to everyone else in here in the meantime. Ricky Litwinkowicz, our friend from one of our friends from New York City, says, what's up, people? What's up, Ricky? Ricky said, should have had this play on Metallic on Saturday. Yeah, that song I opened with, that's a Boston band called Stoic. That came out all the way back in 2001. Great Boston band. I got to work with them a couple of times doing shows when I was active as a promoter, promoting concerts. And they came up and always drew a really big crowd. And the reason I played them is, and it didn't occur to me last week, but last week, of course, we were celebrating the life and music of Mike Zaker, also known professionally as Michael Spaulding, who very well known in the scene up here and down in the Boston area and around Massachusetts. Very, very talented musician, and I talked about how I knew Mike. I knew him more professionally than personally, but he and I were in the same band, just not at the same time. We had both at different times been members of First Shove, but I did get to share the stage with him once. But he was also in Stoic all the way back in 2001. I don't think he was still with them when I worked with them later on doing shows, putting on shows up here. But he was in the band originally, and that track is called Falling Into, and it is from, and I believe it's their debut release, I Conceive is the name of the album, and I is E-Y-E, I Conceive, from the band Stoic, if you're looking for that. And that's the opening track on the album, Falling Into. But I stumbled upon that over the weekend, and I was like, geez, I should play that on Monday. That's a great track. That whole album is incredible. I really recommend it. I Conceive by Stoic. And, you can find the full playlist on YouTube, and of course it's on Spotify and everywhere else. But highly recommended. If you like that song, you'd probably really dig the whole album. I think they're inactive now. I don't think they still play. I know they haven't put out anything in a long time. Let's see. Jenny joins us in the chat, of course, and says, "Shalom, peeps." Also, Eric Street joins us and says, "I had an encounter with him last week." Ah, yes, referring to the jealous one. Yes, the jealous one. Also, Jason Fedderson joins us and says, "Good afternoon, everyone." Good afternoon, sir. Well, let's address two things, and then we'll get into some stuff because there's a ton of news items to cover. There is so much happening, but regarding the floss, the mental floss. So, our friend, the jealous one, who is also from New York City, but Ricky's our nice friend from New York. There's also the jealous one who claims to be from New York. He's been making he's been continuing his threats. He continues to try to threaten my career by saying that he's going to have me thrown off the air. Apparently, he objects to, we have sometimes on the show, obviously we do politics first. That's our first priority on this program, but we also do a lot of music. We have musicians on to interview, and we try to mix in some comedy throughout the week, some humor, of course. We also discuss sometimes mental health issues on the program. And to some degree of acclaim, in the sense that listeners seem to really appreciate that and get a lot out of it, those mental health discussions that we have on the show. But apparently the jealous one finds this highly objectionable and thinks that I'm irresponsible as a broadcaster for engaging in those discussions and for being open about my own issues, ongoing issues with depression and so forth. This is all very upsetting to him. And he is now threatening. He's making YouTube videos where he talks about by the way, and I will say this, I don't know if he's taking the ginkgo biloba or whatever it is. My dad talks about that. It's supposed to help you as you get older. It's supposed to help sharpen your mind, keep your mind sharp and your memory sharp. But the jealous one actually 2 or 3 times recently in his recent spate of videos has managed to pronounce my last name correctly, which is stunning. Usually he calls me Matt Connarton, but he's actually managed to get Connarton out. But apparently, so he finds our discussions, he says that people who discuss mental health issues on the air are weak. He plays into the stigma. I haven't heard anyone even say anything like that in probably at least a decade, putting down people for being open about their mental illness and talking about that and having open dialogue about it. Like I said, people seem to appreciate it when I do it on the show, and I do get a lot of positive feedback about it, or when I just let people know on social media that I'm struggling, because it's something that millions of us deal with to varying degrees. But he has been threatening, the jealous one has, to report me to the Department of Mental Hygiene. The Department of Mental Hygiene. Now, I find it hilarious when he says that. The first time he said it, I was like, Department of Mental Hygiene? What are you talking about? And I like to, I don't know if you all have noticed, but I don't take him very seriously, and I do enjoy ridiculing him when he makes his threats. I don't actually feel threatened by his threats. I respond to him with humor because it's funny to me, and I think he is to be ridiculed. He's like a sad, angry clown. And we should laugh at him, not be offended or upset by him. So I think it's funny when he talks about threatening to report me to the Department of Mental Hygiene. And I thought, well, obviously there's no such thing. I've never heard of the Department of Mental Hygiene. And I thought the dummy has just got things confused in his head. He's thinking of dental hygiene. Dental rhymes with mental. So in his head, he's thinking there's a Department of Mental Hygiene. But I have a little bit of a mea culpa on that. It turns out, just for the heck of it, I Googled it. It turns out there actually is something in the state of New York where he's from. There actually is something called the Department of Mental Hygiene. It's a real thing. And if you look it up, what it is, it's what in most states and federally it's what would be considered or what would fall under DHHS, the Department of Health and Human Services. But in New York, in the state of New York, they actually call it the New York State Department of Mental Hygiene. So it actually is a real thing. So he is apparently planning to, here's what it says, by the way. This is from Wikipedia. This is what it says under mental health. So apparently this is what they call their public mental health system in the state of New York. It says the majority of public mental health is in voluntary outpatient programs, the largest and most used being clinic treatment services. Inpatient care is provided mainly by state psychiatric centers, supplemented by homeless shelters, the general hospital network, and jails. 45 to 57% of New York mental health consumers use Medicaid, which is the largest single source of funding for the Department of Mental Hygiene, apparently. The department is responsible for assuring the development of comprehensive plans, programs, and services in the areas of research, prevention and care, treatment, rehabilitation, education, and training of the mentally ill. Programs include inpatient, outpatient, partial hospitalization, daycare, emergency and rehabilitative treatments and services. There's nothing in there about radio hosts from Manchester, New Hampshire. At least now this is Wikipedia. And as John Hopwood has pointed out, you can't trust that everything on Wikipedia is necessarily accurate. So it is possible that it should be on this list, but maybe because it's not something that comes up very often, radio hosts discussing mental health issues from Manchester, New Hampshire. But it's not on that list of things that would be the concern or would fall under the purview of the New York State Department of Mental Hygiene. So I'm skeptical that he's going to get very far reporting me to the New York State Department of Mental Hygiene to complain about me discussing mental health issues on my show. I don't think the jealous one is going to get very far with that. Maybe he'll fib, if he makes the call, maybe he'll say, he'll try to claim that I'm actually from New York or something. I don't know. But I also don't see anything in here about broadcasting. I think that's more, an FCC thing. But anyway, it is a real thing. There is actually a Department of Mental Hygiene. He did not make that up. He did not invent that in his head, as I thought. I just don't imagine, maybe there's maybe they have a special department, or maybe it's just like one person who works at the New York State Department of Mental Hygiene who oversees cases of New York State residents feeling aggrieved by radio hosts in Manchester, New Hampshire. Maybe there's someone assigned to that. Maybe they have a small stack of cases that they're working on. But I'm skeptical. I am skeptical. So there you go. But hey, mea culpa. It is real. There really is a Department of Mental Hygiene in the state of New York. And I think there's even a couple other states that call it that. So unless I'm getting it wrong and he really did mean the department, because he's really getting it wrong and he really did mean the Department of Dental Hygiene, but you can't get me on that one. Not to brag, but I've never even had a cavity. That's how good my dental hygiene is. I got lucky genetically on that because I don't think either of my parents have ever had a cavity either. Or if they have, or actually, I think my dad said he might have had a small one once. But so I just, as the offspring of parents with unusually healthy teeth, I just have like super indestructible teeth. I remember my dentist telling me once, he said, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but to be honest with you, if you haven't had a cavity by now, at this point in your life, you're probably never going to get one. Obviously, you're just not prone to them. And that was like 20 years ago that he told me that. So far, so good. But so my dental hygiene game is strong. I think the young people say that. But my mental hygiene, questionable. I'm doing the best I can. But I do struggle with some issues. And apparently the jealous one doesn't want to hear me talking about any of that on the air. So he can report me. If I do get a call from the New York State Department of Mental Hygiene, I'll be sure to let you all know, just as I let you all know the time that I got a call from the New York State Police. because what was that even about? It had to do with the jealous one. What was that about? Oh, that's right. He was mad at Billy Painter, and because I'm friends with Billy, or he somehow blamed Billy, whatever he was mad about at Billy about, he blamed me or something. So he decided to call the New York State Police. And the New York State Police police trooper that I spoke with and we had a good laugh at the expense of the jealous one. You know, he had to follow up on the complaint, but it was the most absurd thing. I think he actually said it was the most absurd thing he'd ever received a complaint about, and it didn't make any sense, and he was kind of baffled by the whole thing, but he had to follow up. And Trooper Carmine, that was his name, Trooper Carmine from the state of New York. Yeah, we had a nice conversation actually, and we laughed. We laughed at the jealous one. Funny. I've had I can think of another instance where the jealous one has called someone trying to get me into trouble, and we laughed because it was so absurd. But he keeps on trying. God bless him. Have you heard about, I'm reminded of a song. Have you heard about the lonesome loser? He's a loser, but he still keeps on trying. Who does that? Is that Little River Band? Have you heard about the lonesome loser? I like that song. 603-250-6007 is the number, 603-250-6007. One other quick thing, and then we'll get into some news, because there is, I have a myriad of things that we can talk about, but of course, there's always a lot going on. I received another, actually, hang on. Hold that thought, because our friend Ron is on the line. Hi, Ron.
Hi. I definitely want to hear your myriad of things to talk about.
Yes.
But I was going to ask you about something I heard on the radio today, and if you had time, you probably don't, if you could just discuss the condition of Social Security. Has there been any changes? Are we doomed? But when I was listening to Bucks Paxton today on the way home, I caught a little information, and I don't have enough to, take sides one way or the other. But there, according to him, or what I was hearing, the Pfizer, McDurrick, whatever, the people that created the COVID vaccines, that, now it's turning out that it was possibly false information, a waste of money, and, almost to the point where the government should tell them, hey, you owe us, what we gave you. So I'm going to leave it there before I really destroy it. But that's what I got out of it.
What's this
anything about it?
What's this guy's name? Bucks Paxton?
Buck Paxton.
Buck, B-U-C-K?
Yeah, Paxton, yeah.
With a
I think it's about 6:10 a.m. or something like that.
Oh, yeah. So I assume he's a right-wing conservative political guy?
All right. Go ahead.
And so right-wing conservative political talk show hosts tend to take the position that COVID, they have all these conspiracy theories about COVID-19 and the vaccines. They tend to be anti-vaxxers, and they spread a lot of lies and misinformation. So I assume that's what that guy was going. I can't even find him. Buck Paxton? When I Google his name, I can't find him. Let me try this.
Paxton? No.
Let me try Buck Paxton radio show. Oh, maybe I've got something here. It's hard to find much on him. It's hard to find. He must not have much of a following. It's hard to, not to brag, but you Google my name and a ton of stuff comes up. This guy's got barely anything.
Jeez, I wonder if I got the guy's name wrong. I don't think I did, but it was something Paxton.
Just the name Buck Paxton screams to me right-wing conspiracy theorist. I don't mean to be namist, but
yeah.
I hear the name and I'm thinking, yeah, this guy's probably, they all do it, Ron. All these right-wing conspiracy theorists, conservative talk shows. And at one point, and I say this not to dance on anyone's grave, but it's worth noting, at one point there were 6 or 7 from around the country, 6 or 7 of these guys, these right-wing talk show hosts who are very anti-vax, who ended up getting COVID and actually dying from it. There was a whole bunch of them, these regional conservative talk show hosts who would, every day they would do their shows and preach this anti-vax message and tell all these lies about the vaccines. And then karma came along and kicked them in the teeth and they died. Again, not to dance on anyone's grave, but that's what would happen to these guys. And, I certainly don't wish that on Buck Paxton, but, I was spelling his name wrong, maybe. Oh, wait. Let me try it the way Rocky's spelling it. Maybe I was spelling his name wrong. I'm having a hard time finding this guy. But anyway, that's what I think is up there.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to try to do some of my own homework. The thing is, sometimes when I jump in my car leaving my father's in the afternoon, I only catch the tail ends of things.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't find much about Buck Paxton. But I would be very suspicious of anything you hear from anything related to COVID-19 or vaccines. I would be very skeptical about anything you hear from right-wing talk show hosts.
Okay, I believe you.
All right, Ron.
And I will take your answer off the air if you have time today. If you don't today, another day. I'd just like to know what your thoughts are as far as Social Security. Is the government still working on trying to protect it? I mean, or are we still expected to have a time where there is not going to be none? So with that being said, Matt, I'll take your answer off the air if you can get to it.
Okay, Ron. Thank you for the call, my friend. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And actually we won't get to Social Security today. Probably. I'm not going to have time, but we will look at that. That is an important thing. I think, I think we have another call. I think it's Gonzo. Gonzo, is that you? Hello? I think we've been pocket dialed. All right. That must be what happened. Unless it was Buck Paxton calling us. Buck Sexton is the guy, according to Ricky Litwinkowicz. Well, let's see. Let's look up old Buck Sexton here. I guarantee you there's pictures of this guy out in the woods with his friends cosplaying as militia dudes, this Buck Sexton. Well, let's try this again. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
It's Buck Sexton.
Oh my God, Buck Sexton!
Come on, Ron.
Wow. Oh, is this Buck Sexton on the line? Hello? Okay, that was actually Gonzo. I think he was just calling to correct Ron quickly, and then couldn't figure out how to hang up the phone or something. Thank you, Gonzo. Yes, it is Buck Sexton. And when I Google Buck Sexton radio show, I come up with the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show. Oh, yeah. So right here, before I even click this link, join Clay Travis and Buck Sexton as they embark on a brand new era of excellence in broadcasting. And both excellence and broadcasting are capitalized. And that, of course, was a trademark of Rush Limbaugh. And nobody there? All righty. Still says somebody's on the line, though. No, nobody there. Yeah. So there you go. That tells you right there. I'll go ahead and click the link. What the hell? But yeah, these are right-wing. These are obviously right-wing conspiracy theorist talk show hosts who will probably spend 3 to 4 hours a day lying to you about vaccines and COVID. Rocky Huber says, is Matt saying butt Sexton? No. That's for the other show. Oh, these guys. Oh, yeah. I've seen these guys. I recognize them. And no, they're not like old guys in army fatigues out in the woods cosplaying as militia dudes. They're more the young conservatives who, oh yeah. They've got an article up here from August 15th. The CDC admits we were right about COVID. Okay. Yeah. Oh, this. Kash Patel explains how Trump docs were declassified and handled. Right. Except it doesn't work that way. All right, whatever. Yeah, don't. I mean, look, I don't mean to dump on anyone's politics, but when it comes to anything related to science, you should not listen to conservatives. All right, we'll try this again. Nobody there? All righty. Yeah. Oh, Ricky Lewinkowicz sent me a link for his bio. Yeah, that's all right, Ricky. I think we got the gist of who this Buck Paxton Sexton is. I do wonder if that's his real name. Try this again. It's the same number. Oh, here we go. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this? Hello?
Hello. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, Matt, it's Paul.
Hey, Paul.
Hi.
Hi, what's up?
Is there an issue with the phones there today, or?
I tried picking up on you a few times, and it just, I would get a beep. So, I don't know. It's working now.
Oh, good. Hey, big fan. I just was listening, and, while I was trying to get through to you, I was calling because I saw a really good movie this weekend, but while I was waiting to get on, I forgot the name of it. And, it was really good, though. Man, I wish I could remember what it was about. Maybe you can figure it out. It had actors in it, and it had a director, and there were cameras filming it and stuff.
Was it Finding Sandler?
No, it wasn't that. This is an older movie.
Oh.
Gee, I wish I could remember. I think the lead actor's from Somerville, Massachusetts, but I can't remember. Oh man.
Wow. Yeah.
And there was an Asian guy in it too. An Asian guy.
Yep. I know the movie you mean. I just can't think of the name of it. It's on the
Okay, so it's coming to you then.
Oh yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue. Well, you mentioned the Asian guy, and you mentioned Somerville, and you said there were, it was made with cameras and stuff. So yeah, I know the movie you mean.
Okay, good, because I thought I was the only one who saw it.
Right. No, I saw it too. Loved it, actually. It's one of my favorite films.
It was. Wasn't it good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
I'm going to be up all night trying to figure out the title, but I'll leave that to you and let you get on with your show. It was nice talking to you.
All right. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate it. Bye-bye. You know what that reminds me of? When I was, I used to work for a retail store. I was a store manager for, when I first started there, it was Strawberries, and some will remember Strawberries. And then it was bought by Trans World Entertainment, and eventually they all got converted over to FYE. But when I worked at the Strawberries in Concord, New Hampshire, so I'd worked at several different locations over the course of working there. But, when you work in a store where you sell CDs and DVDs and things like that, you'll get people who will come in who will say things like, and it probably doesn't happen nearly as much as it used to, because at this point, see, I started working for them in the late 90s, and now, today, everyone's got a phone. Everyone can look up, if you hear a song that you like and you don't know who it is and you don't know the name of the song, it's easy. Just, try to remember some of the lyrics for the song and then just Google the lyrics. That's what I do if I want to find out something like that. And then, there it is. That's who it is. That's who does it. There's apps, of course, you play the song and the app will tell you what the song is. But back then when I first started with that company, we didn't have all of that. I mean, we had cell phones at that point, but we didn't have smartphones like we do now where you just Google something. And so every location that I worked in a number of different locations throughout my tenure with that company. And sometimes I would go around and train people in other stores and things like that. So I actually worked in a lot of different locations, a few of them long-term and some just going to help out. But when you're in a store like that, of course, you have people, like I said back then, probably doesn't happen much now, like at the newish FYE at the Mall of New Hampshire. They probably doesn't happen because of the internet. But people would come in and say, hey, I heard this song on the radio. I don't know who does it. And they would try to describe the song to you. And hopefully, you knew who it was. And, it was hit or miss with that, of course. But for whatever reason, when I worked at the Strawberries in Concord, it would happen multiple times a day where people would come in and they would describe something, and they'd want us to be able to figure out what it was for them. But Paul's call reminded me of this. For whatever reason, at the Concord store, which I think now it was a jewelry store for a while. I forget what it is now because that store closed long time ago. But at that, like 20 years ago, but at that store in particular, it would happen multiple times a day, but people would come in and they would be like, yeah, so I heard this song on the radio. I'm not sure who it was or who or what the name of the song was. And I don't really remember any of the lyrics or anything about how it goes, and can't really tell you anything about it. Can you find it for me? And it would be like, huh? We have a call. Hey, don't swear, and I'll let you talk if this is who I think it is. Don't swear, and I'll leave you on the line. Hello?
Let's talk about facts right now.
Yes, we're going to talk about facts. Okay.
The Crazy Joe Show, and this is not just a rap show, but this is just to anybody out there.
Mm-hmm.
We just had 170 hits on the Crazy Joe Show. This page right here. 170. That's not bad for a guy who decided to take off the month of August and not doing a show. But, of course, I do these videos, which gives me a lot of promotion, and it generates quite a bit of traffic. 170 views and hits last week on the Crazy Joe Show page.
170?
About 1 hour ago. That's 1 hour ago. And I will show it to you right here.
Wait. We got to do this right. Tell me that number one more. Tell me that number one more time. How many views did you get?
I got 15 new views 1 hour ago.
15 new views?
New views. That brings the total in the last 2 weeks of about 185
Wow.
in the last week and a half. So, Ratso, you ain't doing anything to me. You're not doing anything to damage my reputation. You're actually enhancing it. You're giving me free promo. Keep up the good work, Ratso. And like I said, suicide might be right around the corner for you.
Oh, now, by the way, I see he hung up. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to ask him because he says I'm actually helping him. I was going to ask him if out of gratitude, if he would please not report me to the Department of Mental Hygiene as he's been threatening. But anyway, wow. He's got, can you guys believe that? I mean, you want to talk about fame. He's got 170 views on his videos. I mean, look, look. When Spotify was backing the Brinks truck up to Joe Rogan's front door because they wanted the Joe Rogan podcast on their platform, that was a big deal. That was a big deal. But this guy, he's got 170 views on his videos. Oh, and he's just got 15 more. He's got 185 views on his videos. I mean, wow. Well, Joe, if you're still listening, you said you gave me credit. You gave me credit for that. So don't report me to the Department of Mental Hygiene, okay? Please. I'm very concerned about that. You've been threatening to do that. And, you know, I just, you got me shook, as the young people say. Shook. I don't know. I was feeling generous. I guess I was feeling magnanimous. I was willing to let him. Willing to let him spew that. Of course, then he ends his call telling me he hopes I commit suicide. So that wasn't cool. That's not a nice thing to say. Is that a nice thing to say as he's thanking me? He didn't say thank you, actually, but he owes me a thank you. He gave me credit. And then he says that at the end. That's very mean. I'm very hurt. I'm very hurt. I'm going to tear up and start crying, I think. Wow, 170 views. Boy, I'll tell you. Wow. You know, they say you can't spell success without the numbers 170, which doesn't make any sense, but wow. I mean, he's it's like he's strapped to a rocket. Oh my God. I had a feeling he was going to brag about that, so that's why I let him on. Oh, good Lord. Well, if you'd like to join us, if you have, I'd love to know. By the way, anyone out there who puts up videos on YouTube, I'd love to know how many views you have. If you'd like to call in and tell us and be really excited about it. 603-250-6007 is the number. 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. Tweet me at Matt Connarton or send an email to matt@mattconnerton.com. Oh, by the way, I just for the hell of it, I'm going to pull up my YouTube channel. I just want to look at something quickly here. I think a couple of I think I've got a couple of videos up that might actually have what did Joe said he had 185 views total, and that's pretty impressive. Let's see. I'm just going to go to my YouTube here quickly and look up. Let me go into analytics. Just want to see something here. Just want to see something. Because if he has actually surpassed me in views, yes, that will bother me a little bit, I suppose. But the internet's running a little slow. I just want to check. All right, let me look at my analytics here. Just want to look at a couple of my more popular videos on YouTube that are actually from this show, because sometimes we post clips of the show on YouTube. Let's see. There's a video of one of Paul's calls into the show as Gene Simmons of Kiss. Let's see. How many does that have? Let's see here. That has 16,000 views. That's slightly more than 185, right? 16,000? Let's see. I've got another video here. Oh, this is from, remember when I was talking about the doorbell licker? That became a national story, the doorbell licker. This guy who is actually going around, and he got caught on camera because everyone has those Ring cameras now with the doorbell. I did a segment about that on the show, and then I put the segment on YouTube. That got 5.7 thousand views. That's a little bit more than 185, I think. Anyway, well, we don't need to continue that, but no, you know what, Joe, if you're still listening, the jealous one, as I like to refer to you, you're off to a great start there, little guy. You just keep plugging along. Just, you're like the little engine, the little engine that could, you just, and you, I know you have moments of doubt, but you just keep right on going there, little guy, little buddy. Glad I could help. Texas Mike is in the chat room, says total views on his channel is 8,361. That's very good. That's very good, Texas Mike. And man, that's a little bit more than 185. I mean, I'm not good at math, but let's see. Rocky Uber says I got 200 views because I took a blank that looked like Crazy Joe, and 200 people wanted to see it. Oh, Lord. Well, that's all right. Hey, you know what? I think, like I said, the little guy, I don't know his actual height, but he looks like a hobbit in his videos. He's trying. He's trying really hard, isn't he? Wow. 185. I mean, I don't know if it was necessarily worth an air horn, but, why not? 603-250-6007 is the number, 603-250-6007. Oh, the other quick thing that I wanted to mention, and then I promise you, wow, it's already quarter of 5. I promise you we're going to get into some news. My dad left me a voicemail, a very short voicemail. Last week I was talking about how I got a text from my father saying something about getting down and dirty. And, of course, I was like, I replied to his text, and I said, wait a minute, did Easy G take your phone? Because that's usually an Easy G thing. Oh, now I can't find it in here. Oh, no. I hope I'm not going to start having problems. Next thing you know, my videos will only get 185 hits. And then I'll be really depressed. Oh, here we go. Yeah, Easy G, of course.
Want to get down and dirty with me?
That famous moment. So then I got a text message from my dad saying that. And then I actually got a voicemail over the weekend. I didn't realize it till this morning. Over the weekend, I got a voicemail from my dad that said the same thing. And then I was thinking about it, and I said, wait a minute. I've never seen my father and Easy G in the same place at the same time. Coincidence? I'm starting to wonder. It's very strange.
Want to get down and dirty with me?
All right. Anyway. Let's see. We have some more folks in the Facebook live chat, and then, of course, I do want to get into some stuff. Let's see. Oh, Mike Pelopita joins us in the chat from another one of our great sponsors here at WMNH 95.3, Queen City Cabinetry in the historic Sunbeam Mall. Miriam Banish joins us in the Facebook live chat. Hello, Miriam. Let's see. Nancy Clayton also joins us. Hi, Nancy. Ricky said, and I think this is regarding the number of YouTube videos, he says, I get that in under a week. Well, of course, you're actually successful at what you do. Not to suggest that the jealous one isn't, but, well, there is a reason for all of his jealousy, of course. Let's see. Ricky said, Jenny, get me a barf bag, please. Nancy Clayton says, what a cowardly POS. Miriam said something I can't read on the air, but that's funny. Our friend Crystal from Illinois joins us in the chat. She says, I got more hits than that as a lupus and rheumatoid arthritis advocate on just Facebook on most posts, not just one. We get bragging rights for that? Yeah. Miriam says it's illegal to tell someone to commit suicide. Well, he did say it. He did say it. Maybe I should call. You know what? I think I'm going to call the Department of Mental Hygiene on him. See how he likes it. Yeah. And he actually lives in New York State where they can do something about it. That's right. I hope you're still listening, jealous one. I'm going to call the Department of Mental Hygiene on you. What do you think of that? I'm not really. I don't care. Oh, boy. Ricky says, I have one video that has over 3,000. He's way behind, LOL. Yeah. Eric Street says his height might be comparable to Danny DeVito, but not his fame. That is true. That is absolutely true. Oh, boy. All right, my friends, let's get into some stuff. We've had a lot of tomfoolery here today. Time to get down to some serious business. And I already told you about the Department of Mental Hygiene. What else we got? There's a great deal going on, of course. And Ron, if you're listening, I will look that up about the Social Security. I haven't heard much discussion about it recently, but I do think we should talk about this issue, of course, regarding the documents. I don't know if everyone's heard about this. Apparently, the former president took home a few mementos from the White House, some of which apparently were very classified and very important to national security. Now, what I wanted to get into specifically, and this is from PolitiFact, one of the talking points that the MAGA folk are arguing is that what Trump did, taking all of this home, was perfectly fine because he declassified all of it. And what some people might not realize is, yes, the President of the United States does have the power to declassify documents. But there's two problems here, though. One is, yeah, but that doesn't mean he can take stuff home with him when he leaves the White House. He cannot. They have to go in the National Archive, number one. So he still broke the law, even if he did declassify the documents. You can't just take documents with you, number one. But number two, there's actually a process to declassifying a document. So when the President of the United States decides to declassify something, it's not as simple as just saying, I, President Trump, hereby declassify everything that I just stuffed into that tote that we're taking to Mar-a-Lago. It doesn't work that way. No, there's actually an entire process. And by the way, there are some documents that cannot be declassified. And if I understand the process correctly, the president has to communicate what documents he wants to declassify to the department from where the document originated, and make sure that there are certain things you have to make sure of before you declassify something. You know, there's the obvious, of course. Is declassifying this document going to somehow affect or impinge upon our national security? Will there be national security consequences? Will it put anybody in danger? We have assets in the field, spies, if you will, for example. Is this going to jeopardize any of that, any sort of undercover operations that the government is involved in? Anything, we're hearing a lot about there might be some nuclear secrets in some of these documents. That's particularly scary, right? So you can't the president doesn't just say, I hereby declassify these. Also, even if he thought that was how it worked, or he thought he could do it that way, you don't get to do it after the fact. So there has to be a record. Now, in all fairness, maybe, I'm awfully skeptical, but maybe it will turn out that he did, in fact, declassify some things, went through a process, but if he did, there would be a record of it. So that will be very easy to determine. But some of these documents apparently were, in fact, top secret. Extraordinarily sensitive and related to national security, that he absolutely could not have declassified and could not have brought home with him without breaking the law. And again, even if it's all declassified, you can't just take these with you. You just can't. It is illegal. So, but I wanted to look at this issue of the documents and their classification a little bit further. So this is from PolitiFact.com. Could Trump argue he declassified the documents found in the Mar-a-Lago search? So just some bullet points from this first, and then we'll get to the heart of it. But the search warrant served on former President Donald Trump has raised novel legal questions involving national security classification. If the federal government pursues legal action against Trump over document laws, one obvious defense for Trump might be that he declassified these documents before leaving office. Sitting presidents do have wide powers to declassify documents, but they are supposed to go through a detailed procedure to do so. Now, by the way, and one thing, too, about that detailed procedure that I was talking about a minute ago, the answer might be no. Just because a president wants to declassify something doesn't mean he'll be told yes. At the end of the process, he could be told, I'm sorry, Mr. President, we cannot permit you to declassify this. It's too sensitive. Okay? So, finally, the case is so unprecedented that experts urge caution before projecting how courts may respond to such an argument. So those are some key points. All right, so here's what PolitiFact says in a little bit more detail. The search warrant served on former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home appears to involve documents that investigators say should not have remained in Trump's possession after his presidency. This development has elevated some novel legal scenarios involving national security classification. Some of the papers in question may be ordinary presidential documents that fall under the Presidential Records Act of 1978. This law transferred ownership of presidential records to the U.S. government and established a record-keeping structure for presidents to use going forward. And our friend Louie Applebaum is on the line. Hi, Louie.
I'm very good. It's a beautiful day, but I'd rather you address me in a different fashion. I only got about 3 minutes, but if you happen to know my number and you know a lot of stuff about me, when I ring you up, I'd like you to start addressing me as a senior citizen.
Really?
Yeah, this is how I'm starting to get treated.
Well,
you know, a lot of people like to use Grecian Formula 44.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to start dyeing my stuff white. My hair. Oh, yeah, I don't have any hair. My goatee. No, my goatee's already part white. I'm going to start dyeing. I'm going to be like the Ric Flair or the Queen. But I want you to start calling me, wow, it's the senior citizen.
Well, I could. I mean, some would take that as a pejorative, but you actually want to be addressed that way?
Well, the numbers don't lie. I'm 63, but I'm going to make the announcement on this show right now, and then I got to let you go. I got to go in the gym. I'm going to ride my bike and go for a run. I'm going to tell you on the Matt Connarton show, I'm breaking this live. This is breaking news.
Okay.
This morning, the paperwork was filed. My legal name, if it's approved by the probate court in the Southern District of Hillsborough County, is now going to be Louie Angelitis, my mother's maiden name.
Really?
Yeah, really, you know, out of honor to my mother. I wanted to do it while she was here. She only made it to 88 and a half. She was working at Vista when she was in her 70s. You know, I mean.
Yeah.
I'll leave it with this. You know, I love this show. I mean, Peter White last week paid a big tribute to my friend number 27, Artie K., Artie the One-Man Party.
Yep.
But I'm going to leave it like this. You know, I'm glad I could break this story, and hopefully if I take my ginkgo biloba, I'll remember I broke this story.
Yes.
Just remember one thing, Matty.
Yes.
Greeks, they're tough to kill.
Well, I've never considered killing a Greek, but I will remember that. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Well, this all goes back to when I do dial into the show, and I'm not like Ron, call 3 times within 60 minutes. But I like to address you once a week and say hi. But when I call from now on, just say it's the senior citizen.
I don't think of 63 as a senior citizen, though. I mean, John Hopwood is only like, he's in his early 60s. I don't think of him as a senior citizen. Maybe when I was younger I would, but, you know, the older I get, the younger, older people seem, I guess. It's all relative. But I will address you as such if that's your preference, sir.
Yeah, the senior citizen and Connarton, Hopwood, and then there's Louie Angelitis. You really can't mention the 3 of us in the same breath. I'm a Greek, and I'll say it one final time for the listening audience, which is expansive all throughout northern New England. Greeks, they're tough to kill.
All right, Louie. Thank you for,
right?
Senior citizen. Yes, thank you so much for the call.
Yeah, I would prefer that as,
all right.
You know, I mean, you are a little bit younger than me, and I've been watching you. You get kind of animated. I've always listened to you. But at my age now, I'm even watching a little YouTube, and
good.
You know, you got a presence. I think you're more designed. If you want to know the truth, I think you're more designed for the visual audience.
Oh, well, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I always thought that Pete would take over for Tom Griffith, but I'm going to get together with Jen Vaughn and Jamie Staten, and they respect the senior citizen. I'm going to see if I can throw your name in the hat if you could be the weekend guy.
I would love it. Count me in. I know Peter was very reticent to want to take any kind of a position like that, but I think I would make a great weekend man on WMUR.
The thing with Peter, you know, I love the guy. I'm not going to say anything derogatory, but no. Peter, he's more engaged with a younger audience. He'll never be able to handle being a senior. See, Pete wants to be young forever.
Right. Well,
Yeah, like he was in mourning last week over Olivia Newton-John.
yes.
My first girlfriend looked exactly like Olivia Newton-John.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Manchester, right off of North Adams Street.
Well,
Now, today, if you talk to 10 people from Manchester, hey, you ever been to North Adams? Maybe 2 of them will say, oh, that college out in the Berkshires? The other 8 don't even know that street lies in Manchester.
right. Well,
No, I'm a lefty. Don't start with the right stuff. I'm a lefty. And I'm as far left as you can go, baby.
really? Yeah. All right.
And everything that I've written politically in the last 36 months, aces. You don't need Business Insider. You don't need the Washington Post. Just go to Louie Angelitis' page. Everything I have said is coming to fruition.
On Facebook? On your page on Facebook?
Yeah, if you want to scroll through there tonight and look
Oh.
at the last 36 months,
Really?
everything that I've been saying is all coming to fruition.
Oh, I'll be
I
damned.
gave him the name Boris. I said you can't run for president and have Vlad Putin be your fiscal agent. I put up pictures of Leavenworth, him wearing the striped suit.
Really?
I don't want to go down that road this afternoon.
Yeah.
You know, let it fall where it's going to fall. I want everyone to love each other.
Yes.
That's all I'm about. This life is all about love because we're only here for a short time.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna find you on Facebook. Huh. Interesting. Cool.
Well, you'll find me for a little while in my last name. It'll be, once the paperwork's official, I'll be actually changing the name on there. But
Yeah. Oh, that's
Louie Angelitis. But when I call in, if you could just respect your elders and say, I've got the senior citizen.
I will. I'll remember that.
All right,
my
you
friend.
have a nice afternoon, and you got great initials, man. A senior citizen like me, when I think of you, I think of MC Hammer.
Very good.
It's hammer time in the gym, on the bicycle, and out for a 4-mile run. Not bad for an older fella.
Not bad at all. All right, my friend. Thank you so much for
Have
the
a
call.
nice afternoon, and thank you for the airtime.
Anytime. All right, take care.
Have a nice afternoon. If you could say adios, senior citizen.
Oh, adios, senior citizen.
All right. Gracias.
See. Very good. Wow. I did not realize he was on Facebook. Unless he was just messing with me. I don't know. I'll look for him during the break. Interesting. All right. Well, listen. I see our friend Alex Whiteley is in the Facebook live chat all the way from the UK. Let's do this. We are at the top of the hour. Let's take a break. And then when we come back, we will I'll play some. I still love this song. I'll play Chasing the Devil, Beautiful Nightmare. I still haven't gotten tired of hearing it. Great song. Their debut single, which we gave the world radio premiere right here on WMNH. So we'll do that. We'll show some love to our amazing sponsors. Then when we come back, I want to finish up on this issue about the classification of these documents, and then we'll get on to some other things as well once we're into the second hour. Numero dos. The senior citizen might appreciate that. Numero dos. All right. Plenty more to come. Don't go away.
Are you suffering from pain? Is chronic pain not allowing you to live a full and satisfying life? Well, you don't have to live with pain. Pain Specialty Group is here for you. We can provide you with an individualized program that will help you manage and alleviate your pain and reclaim the joys in life that pain has robbed you of. Whether it's neck pain, knee pain, lower back pain, sciatica, herniated disc, tendonitis, carpal tunnel, or neuropathy, the specialists at Pain Specialty Group can help you. Do you suffer from headaches, depression, fibromyalgia, arthritis? Pain Specialty Group can give you relief. Pain Specialty Group's pain management program include epidural steroid injections, Botox injections, physiotherapy, stem cell therapy, and ketamine infusions, to name a few. Check out our website for services we can offer you and testimonials from happy and satisfied individuals who have let Pain Specialty Group help them manage their pain. We will work with insurance companies, Medicaid, Medicare, and specialize in workers' comp injuries. Contact us at 603-778-9921. Visit us on the web at painspecialtygroup.com. Email info@painspecialtygroup.com. Let Pain Specialty Group help you.
Come on down to the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, free dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
Bring your kitchen to life with Queen City Cabinetry, located at 87 Elm Street in the historic Sunbeam Mall in Manchester. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can be reached at 603-222-2007 or on the web at queencitycabinetrynh.com. Come see the possibilities. Queen City Cabinetry, another proud sponsor of WMNH.
Clemento's Pizzeria, family friendly, awesome for a date night. Clemento's Pizzeria. For delivery, call 603-782-8450. Clemento's Pizzeria, the best pizza in town. 1875 South Willow Street in Manchester, New Hampshire. Best cocktails around. Come in as friends and leave as family.
This hour on WMNH is sponsored by CGI Business Solutions, located at 5 Dartmouth Drive in Auburn. They serve all your business needs, including employee benefits planning, corporate design and business administration, investments and wealth management, and customized business insurance solutions. Their phone number is 866-841-4600 or on the web at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
WMNH, rip the knob off.
Listen to these shows. As a matter of fact, listen to Matt Connarton of WMNH Radio in Manchester, New Hampshire, the guy I've been fighting with. Listen to that show. He's on Facebook. It's Unleashed. I'm not promoting him. He's my enemy. I know I'm not going to say the word right. I do have a slight speech impediment. But I want you to listen to his show. It's Matt Connarton Unleashed here on Facebook. And when he does his show in the afternoon, he does it here on Facebook. Listen to his show. I'll give you 5 minutes.
Welcome back, everybody. We are well in hour number 2, numero dos, of Matt Connarton Unleashed, and we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. And hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. Today is Monday, August 15, 2022. Welcome, everybody. I do want to remind you, of course, we are proudly sponsored by the Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan at 1000 Elm Street, right across the street. Don't go there today. Monday and Tuesday is their weekend, but they are open Wednesday through Sunday. They had a very successful weekend. They had some live performances there. Not only Ali Beaudry there Friday night, but they had several live acts on Saturday as well. So they've got a lot going on. They're having a great summer at the Hop Knot, and we're so very honored and proud to have them as a sponsor. And those pretzels aren't too bad either. Definitely check them out. And, of course, our newest sponsor here on the program and at the station, Pain Specialty Group. You do not have to live in pain. Visit painspecialtygroup.com. If you'd like to join us today on the program, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. You can also text us at 617-917-4476. Tweet me at Matt Connarton or send an email to matt@mattconnerton.com. And, of course, you can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat. But the best thing to do so that we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007. DJ Midas has entered the chat room and says hi there. Midas, of course, part of the WMNH family. He is the host of Late Night Delight, which you can hear every Saturday night starting at 12 midnight all the way to 4 a.m. with a replay on Sunday night. Really, really good stuff. I highly recommend it. Also, Alex Whiteley in the chat from the UK says, we're in a drought here in the UK and awaiting serious storms. It's such a sticky night. Sounds very humid, but hopefully the storms bring you some much-needed rain. The droughts, the heat, every summer it gets worse, and it's pretty alarming. Everything the climatologists have predicted is coming true. The only, I shouldn't say the only problem, but the biggest problem is it's all happening much faster than was even predicted. But anyway, on that happy thought, let's see. I do want to finish on this. We were talking about in the first half of the show before the break, some information about, this is from PolitiFact.com, about the process that goes into declassifying documents because, of course, Trump and his team and his acolytes and all of his enablers on the right who say, oh, he had every right to take anything home he wanted because he has the right, the freedom to declassify it all. But there is a process for that, and he would have had to have done it while he was still president. You know, you don't just get to take stuff home and say, it would be like, imagine if you worked at a store and you took some merchandise home with you, and then when you got caught, you just said, well, I was going to pay for it later, I decided to mark it all down to free. I just hadn't actually done that yet, and then I just took it home. There's a process to these things, and there are rules, and more importantly, there are laws. And there's even a question now, has the Espionage Act been violated? And by the way, one of the laws that appears to have been violated here is a law that he signed in 2018, made a big show of signing into law stiffer penalties for the mishandling of documents, of classified information. And here we are. What a delicious irony that is, isn't it? All right. So let's look at this a little bit closer. We won't spend too much time on this because I do want to try to get to some other things. And I may have found something that answers some of Ron's concerns, too, regarding Social Security. But let's look at this. The search warrant served on Trump's Mar-a-Lago home appear to involve documents that investigators say should not have remained in Trump's possession after his presidency. This development has elevated some novel legal scenarios involving national security classification. Some of the papers in question may be ordinary presidential documents that fall under the Presidential Records Act of 1978. This law transferred ownership of presidential records to the U.S. government and established a record-keeping structure for presidents to use going forward. However, a subset of documents being sought by the government might be classified for national security reasons. If so, a law known as Section 1924 could come into play. This provision says that knowingly removing classified documents with the intent to keep them in an unauthorized location is a crime. If charges are ever brought under the latter law, one obvious defense for Trump might be that he declassified these documents before leaving office. If that was done, then no classified documents would mean no crime. Is this realistic? Legal experts say there's reason to believe this legal argument will not keep Trump out of legal peril, but they add that this is such an unusual case that it's hard to rule out any eventuality. All right, so the next section looks at the president's declassification power, and this is what I was talking about in the first hour and how there's a process to this, and that power is, as I understand it, is not absolute. Okay, the president's classification and declassification powers are broad. The president, as commander-in-chief, is ultimately responsible for classification and declassification. When people lower in the chain of command handle classification and declassification duties, which is usually how it's done, it's because they have been delegated to do so by the president directly or by an appointee chosen by the president. The majority ruling in the 1988 Supreme Court case, Department of Navy versus Egan, which involved the legal recourse of a Navy employee who had been denied a security clearance, addresses this line of authority. Quote, "The president, after all, is the commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy of the United States," unquote, according to Article 2 of the Constitution, the court's majority wrote. Quote, "His authority to classify and control access to information bearing on national security flows primarily from this constitutional investment of power in the president and exists quite apart from any explicit congressional grant," unquote. By the way, and just a thought on that, you, of course, people talk a lot about, you know, how much power a president should or should not have, and some would suggest that we should have that the presidency itself should be a constitutionally weak office, and that the president shouldn't have much power and not be able to do many things without Congress or have access to, you know, information that maybe Congress doesn't have. But you do want to have, you want the chief executive to have some people won't agree with this, but some broad power and, of course, access to all information, a sitting president, of course, not a former president, to anything involving national security, because they're the ones who are going to have to make decisions. You know, there are decisions that have to be made and actions that have to be taken from a national security standpoint where, you know, you can't wait for Congress. You can't wait for Congress to vote on certain things. It's just not practical. So a president has pretty broad power when it comes to decisions on handling or the classification or access to classified information, and that is as it should be. So, again, sometimes, you know, especially, you know, I ran in some libertarian circles for a while where, you know, there was this attitude that, well, you know, the president really shouldn't be able to do much of anything without Congress. And it's like, well, when it comes to national security, you know, I'm sorry, but in practical terms, some things are time sensitive, and the president has to have access to everything and has to be able to make some decisions. I'm not saying, well, even going to war, I mean, we haven't actually declared war since World War II, and that's why we've had instances of presidents taking us to war without any congressional authorization or oversight. And I'm not saying I agree with that should be done, but there are certain things that have to be done militarily that you can't have a president running to Congress all the time to do, right? Like these strikes taking out terrorists, for example. And there's always going to be certain information that the president has and the national security apparatus has that, you know, maybe not everybody in Congress has. So I'm just saying that is as it should be. In other words, the president should have broad powers in this zone, in my opinion. It might be one of the few things where I have some, again, this is, people in my audience will definitely, some of you will push back on this, I think, but I was somewhat sympathetic to when Bill Barr was Attorney General, his view of executive power and just how expansive it should be. I don't think I would ever agree that it should necessarily be as expansive as he thinks it should be, but I also wouldn't go too far in the other direction. The chief executive needs to have some pretty broad powers, again, if for no other reason than just practical and pragmatic reasons in terms of national security and decisions that have to be made very quickly. All right, but enough of that. Okay, so getting back to this. So Stephen Aftergood, that's a cool name, Aftergood. I like when I find good names. Stephen Aftergood, director of the Federation of American Scientists Project on Government Secrecy, told PolitiFact in 2017 that such authority gives the president the authority to, quote, classify and declassify at will, unquote. It's a trustworthy name, right? You would trust someone with the name Aftergood. I think it's the inclusion of the syllable good in the name. You know, if good is there, they must be a good person. That's the psychology of it. Anyway, Robert F. Turner, Associate Director of the University of Virginia Center for National Security Law, told us in 2017 that, quote, if Congress were to enact a statute seeking to limit the president's authority to classify or declassify national security information or to prohibit him from sharing certain kinds of information, it would raise serious separation of powers constitutional issues, unquote. See, I wouldn't be in favor of that. This is an example of where a president, at least if it's one that you can trust, so most presidents, maybe not Trump, but where generally a president has to have, with executive power, there has to be, or with executive authority, there has to be a lot of executive power. And I think deciding what's classified and not classified is completely appropriate. And I would not be in favor of of Congress getting involved in that process. Oh, Abigail Jem joins us in the Facebook live chat. Hello. The official documents governing classification and declassification stem from presidential executive orders. But these executive orders aren't necessarily binding on a president. The president is not, quote, obliged to follow any procedures other than those he himself has prescribed, and he can change those, unquote, according to Aftergood. So what Aftergood is saying here, by the way, actually seems, to me, sounds somewhat sympathetic to what Trump would say in this instance, that he has a right or had a right to classify or declassify whatever he wanted. Now, again, if we go with what Aftergood is saying, though, in theory, and there's other people who weigh in this article, but if we go by what Aftergood is saying, that still doesn't get Trump out of the woods. Because even if that's true and even if that holds up, if there's no, you know, even if it's the bare minimum of him just deciding on a whim what to classify or declassify, or deciding on a whim to take these documents and declassify them, there still has to be some kind of a record of it somewhere, right? He can't just think in his own mind, I'm just going to put these in these boxes because I've decided that they're declassified, right? So even if it's the barest minimum of the procedure, there still has to be a procedure and a record, I would think. Okay, so the situation recalls the infamous comment by President Richard Nixon that, quote, when the president does it, that means it is not illegal, unquote. Yes, that is, of course, the that he said that in his when he was interviewed by David Cross? No. No. What the hell's his name? David Frost. When David Frost interviewed him about some of his malfeasance, and Nixon said, well, when the president does it, it's not illegal, which is kind of, which is really the, broad executive powers writ large, right? In other words, the theory that the president can do whatever he wants to. If it's the president, it's not illegal. Which I don't know anyone who agrees with that, but that's how Nixon apparently felt. But national security specialists at the blog Lawfare wrote that this is, quote, actually true about some things. Classified information is one of them. The nature of the system is that the president gets to disclose what he wants, unquote. If a president's appointees disagree with those actions, the president, Turner said, quote, can overrule their decisions. Within the executive branch, the president is the boss, unquote. So that would indicate, now going by that, and again, there's some other people who weigh in this article, but going by that, what I said something earlier that may have been incorrect, because I said that my understanding of it was that the president doesn't even necessarily have the final authority, in the sense that if he goes to a department and the department says, I'm sorry, Mr. President, this cannot be declassified because of, threats to national security, et cetera, that, that they can refuse to declassify it. But that, according to this, that may not be correct. So I might have misunderstood that. I'll have to go back and look that up in more detail later, I think, because I'm wow, it's already, my God, it's already almost 5:30. Okay, so the next part of this, could Trump cite presidential declassification power in this case? All right, now we really get into it. All right, so one key point is that presidential declassification power does not continue once a president is out of office. And that should be obvious, right? That you can't leave office and still just get to, when you're no longer president, just say, in other words, Trump can't say, well, I have these documents, I'm deciding now, or I decided after I took them with me that they're declassified. You can't do that. Aftergood said, quote, while it is true that the president can classify and declassify at will, the same is obviously not true of a former president who ceases to be commander-in-chief as soon as he leaves office, unquote. Could Trump argue that he declassified certain documents in private while president? Now we really get to it. What was I saying earlier? He can't just decide in his own mind and not bother to tell anybody and not follow some sort of process. Oh, I'm just deciding this is declassified now. Into the box it goes. Tape it up and ship it to Mar-a-Lago. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so that is not how the system is designed to work. Bradley Moss, a Washington, D.C. based lawyer who works on national security cases, said, quote, merely proclaiming a document or group of documents declassified and doing nothing more would not suffice, unquote. He said follow through is required. Quote, he had to identify the specific documents he was declassifying. He needed to memorialize the order in writing for bureaucratic and historical purposes, and he needed to have staff physically modify the classification markings on the documents themselves. Until that was done, the documents, per the security classification procedures, still have to be handled, transmitted, and stored as if they were classified, unquote. So there is a process, and remember, they got to be stored regardless of classification. He can't take them with him. Tom Blanton, director of the National Security Archive at George Washington University, agreed. Blanton said, quote, if the documents are still marked classified 18 months after their removal from the White House, then Trump was too busy to order them declassified at the time, unquote. However, experts cautioned that nothing is ordinary about the current situation involving Trump. In such an unusual and high-stakes scenario, it's hard to be too certain about how the courts would rule. Moss said, quote, we're in uncharted territory on the issue of criminally prosecuting a former president over mishandling classified documents. There is no legal precedent to look to for guidance. It raises all sorts of constitutional implications, and it is anyone's guess how it would play out, unquote. So there you go. So that's a little bit from PolitiFact regarding classifying and declassifying documents. Abigail shared something from Twitter here. I want to see what this is because it looks like it's just taking a second to load, but it looks like it's relevant to what we're talking about here. It's from a tweet from John Cooper. Oh, it's an envelope that says, I don't understand. Not top secret. I don't get it. I'll have to look at it later. I don't get it. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I guess maybe the point of that. Well, it's visual. I'm not going to explain it. It's too visual. Oh, I think I get it now. What it was an image that said top secret on it, Yeah, now it's starting to make sense. I'm processing it in my head. It said on the tweet, well, that was easy. And it's an image of an envelope, and it says top secret in official type. And then it looks like somebody just wrote on it with a Sharpie "not" and put a circle around it. And it looked like that map. Remember the hurricane map that Trump altered with a Sharpie? So it suited more his liking of where he wanted the hurricane to go. Remember that? That's what that was about. Okay, I get. I'm sorry, Abigail. It just took me a minute to process what I was. I didn't get the joke at first, but that makes sense. Okay, the other thing about this, that's actually pretty funny. The other thing about this that I want to look at, I want to try to do this quickly because I didn't want to spend the whole second hour on this, but there are other things going on. What's happening in Georgia is particularly interesting with that case. More legal trouble, not just for Trump, but for for Rudy Giuliani and Lindsey Graham. But I do want to look at this matter of the affidavit. So Republicans are calling for, they want to see the affidavit that led to the search of Mar-a-Lago, that search warrant being issued. I don't disagree in theory. If you're a regular listener, I'm sure you've heard me say it, and of course I've said it recently too, as goes to this, I'm a transparency hawk. And my position is, as a taxpayer, I want to know as much about what my government is doing and why as possible. And I want the maximum amount of transparency possible without, of course, doing any malicious harm. So in other words, I want as much transparency as we can possibly have, not just with this, but with anything that anybody's doing in government. I want as much transparency as we can possibly have, short of jeopardizing national security or jeopardizing an investigation or putting anyone in danger. In fact, come to think of it, I actually wish we didn't know the names and identities of the FBI agents who were doing that search, because now they're in jeopardy, because now you got all these militia dudes who like to go out into the woods and cosplay like they're, basically playing army, who are now making threats against FBI agents because they view this as some sort of war, these domestic terrorists, like the people who, tried to commit the insurrection on January 6th. So maybe with this we actually need less transparency. But I do agree in theory, in principle. I agree with Republicans. I also would like to see the affidavit, but not everyone agrees. Let's see. This is from CNN. So the Department of Justice is currently saying no on that. They are opposing that. Now, again, it may be a matter of they can't make that public. See, conservative media, Trump supporters, they're going to continue to make the argument that, we can't see the affidavit because this is all a fraud and it's just persecution of our president and all of that. And of course, it's not that. That's nonsense. But they're going to continue to make that. They're going to continue to use that for their own propaganda purposes. But I'm sure there's, like I said, I'm sure there's other reasons. I mean, this is an ongoing investigation. But I would like to see it because I'm awfully darn curious. DOJ, this is from CNN. DOJ opposes, the Rudy Giuliani story popped up. I don't like CNN's website. DOJ opposes making public details in Mar-a-Lago search warrants probable cause affidavit. Okay, here's why. Here's what it says here. So the DOJ is opposing the release of details in an affidavit that lays out the argument that investigators made to a federal magistrate judge explaining the probable cause it had to search Mar-a-Lago. In their new filing arguing for some continued secrecy, the DOJ made clear the seriousness of the ongoing criminal investigation, saying, quote, "It implicates highly classified materials. Disclosure of the government's affidavit at this stage would also likely chill future cooperation by witnesses, I can understand, whose assistance may be sought as this investigation progresses, as well in other high-profile investigations. The fact that this investigation implicates highly classified materials further underscores the need to protect the integrity of the investigation and exacerbates the potential harm if information is disclosed to the public prematurely or improperly," unquote. media organizations, including CNN, had asked for the affidavit to be unsealed after the search last week at the Mar-a-Lago estate. The Justice Department said in its filing that disclosing the affidavit details at this juncture would, quote, cause significant and irreparable damage to this ongoing criminal investigation. The redactions necessary to mitigate harms to the integrity of the investigation would be so extensive as to render the remaining unsealed text devoid of meaningful content, and the release of such a redacted version would not serve any public interest, unquote. CNN, joined by the Washington Post, NBC News, and Scripps, asked the judge last week to unseal all documents, including any probable cause affidavits conducted in the FBI search. Quote, not since the Nixon administration has the president been the subject of such a dramatic and public criminal process, unquote, the outlets said in the filing, adding that the outlets are, quote, attempting to shed light on the federal government's unprecedented actions and motivations. Here, there could not be a more historically significant event than an FBI raid of a former president's home for the alleged removal of national security records after leaving office, unquote. So that's from the statement that these news outlets put out together, asking the DOJ to release that affidavit. So there's a little bit more to that in the article, but that's where we stand with that right now. So the DOJ is saying no because we can't do it yet because it might affect the investigation, which is perfectly reasonable, and I will accept that. And actually, that is something, though, I have to say, that is helpful. That actually is helpful to Trump and to right-wing media who continue to support him and try to spin this their way, because they get to continue to say, hey, look, the government's trying to hide the affidavit from us. That's because they know that this is all made up, and, whatever they'll say as they continue to lie about this and lie about Trump. That will be their spin, and they can have it because that's what they're going to do. But I don't doubt that there are legitimate reasons for not wanting to release that affidavit. Now, I do want to get to, since it popped up anyway, even though I didn't want it to yet on my browser, the Rudy Giuliani story. We've got a little bit of time left, too. Let me give the number, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007, if you'd like to chime in. But we do have, of course, Abigail says in the chat, they can't make the affidavit public because it will reveal their entire case and put people in jeopardy. Yep, exactly. Alex Whiteley says America is returning to the Wild West, I swear. Feels like that sometimes. But if you'd like to chime in, 603-250-6007. But let's look at this. Of course, there is also the ongoing criminal investigation in Georgia regarding Trump and his acolytes pressuring Secretary of State in Georgia, Brad Raffensperger, to, what did he say? I just need, Brad, come on, I just need this many votes. You can find this many votes, can't you, Brad? Come on. You can do it. Do it for me. Do it for Daddy. He didn't say it quite that way. I'm paraphrasing. But this whole thing has ensnared Senator Lindsey Graham, who is going to have to testify. It sounds like they're going to force him to testify in front of a grand jury. He'll just sit there and plead the fifth the whole time. They won't get anything out of him. But now it's fashionable. See, Trump himself used to say, and I played the audio on the air of a reel of him just talking about how, why would you plead the fifth to anything if you've got nothing to hide? And now, of course, he's pleading the fifth. Now it's fashionable to plead the fifth, apparently. It's like the in thing now. All the cool kids are doing it. But CNN is reporting that Rudy Giuliani has been told by prosecutors he is now a target in the Georgia 2020 presidential election probe. We must never forget Giuliani's role in all of this, most memorably, of course, the time that he stood in front of Four Seasons Landscaping and Lawn Care with black goop running down his face, rambling for 40 minutes just about this and that and voting machines and blah, 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 blah. And none of it actually added up to anything, but it sounded good if you really wanted to believe what he was saying. CNN says Rudy Giuliani has been told by prosecutors in Georgia that he is a target of the special purpose grand jury investigating whether former President Donald Trump and his allies violated the law in their efforts to flip the 2020 election results in Georgia. A prosecutor from Fulton County District Attorney's Office called Giuliani's Georgia counsel today to inform him that Giuliani is now considered a target of their investigation, said Bob Costello, another attorney for Giuliani. Surprised Giuliani can't just represent himself. He's such a great legal mind. I mean, look at what a great job he's done for... Oh, never mind. By the way, last I knew, Trump hadn't even paid Giuliani for any of the work he had done. Because Trump is notorious for not paying lawyers. Actually, he's notorious for not paying contractors, not paying... it doesn't matter. I just, if you're going to work for Trump, especially if it's going to be legal work, just know he might not pay you. I think Trump thinks of lawyers like Giuliani as like the buy here, pay here lawyers that you see on TV. You know, if we don't win your case, you don't owe us any money. So Giuliani wasn't able to overturn the election for him, so Trump feels he doesn't owe him any money. It's probably what that's about. But, quote, this comes on the heels of us asking him probably 6 or 7 times, unquote, whether Giuliani was a target, Costello said. He said the district attorney's office previously declined to answer that question. The development for Giuliani marks the first time a close advisor to Trump has been notified he is a target in a criminal investigation into then-President's inner circle around the aftermath of the 2020 election. Both the Georgia grand jury and the Justice Department are investigating the post-election efforts to help Trump retain his office. Giuliani's status became public today alongside other developments in the Georgia investigation, with a court filing ruling that Senator Lindsey Graham must testify, as well as in several other criminal probes touching upon the ex-president and his advisors. Those include the investigation into the handling of classified... Okay, we know about that. Talked about that already. The January 6th federal grand jury subpoenaed Eric Hirschman, former Trump White House lawyer and senior advisor. Giuliani, being told by prosecutors that he is a target of the investigation, was first reported by the New York Times. The district attorney's office declined to comment to CNN. Costello said Giuliani will still appear Wednesday before the special grand jury, but declined to say whether his client would invoke his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Like I said, it's the cool thing to do. You know, we saw during one of the January 6 hearings, they showed video footage of Liz Cheney asking General Michael Flynn, retired General Michael Flynn, do you believe in the peaceful transfer of power between presidents? And he pleaded the fifth to that. He couldn't even answer that, whether he believed that there should be a peaceful transfer of power. He couldn't even answer that. He just is out fifth. It's like, okay, dude. Wow. Giuliani, I'm sorry. Let me back up here. Okay, Giuliani, who served as an attorney for Trump during the 2020 election, was ordered by an Atlanta area judge to appear in person in front of the special grand jury this week. Giuliani was subpoenaed in July, and a New York judge ordered the former mayor to testify as a witness before the special grand jury in Georgia after he failed to appear at a hearing in New York about blocking the subpoena. Yeah, he just didn't show up. The former New York mayor also unsuccessfully tried to delay his appearance, saying he shouldn't fly after he underwent heart stent surgery last month. Giuliani met, what, you can't get on a plane after that? You can't take a car? You can't, what, really? Giuliani met with Georgia. I mean, geez, Glenn R.J. Willett just had 4 stents put in, and, he's running around doing stuff. I don't know. Giuliani met with Georgia state legislators 3 times in December 2020 in the aftermath of the election, twice in person and once remotely. During the meetings, Giuliani spread conspiracy theories and widespread irregularities and fraud in the state. Among his many false claims, Giuliani accused 2 Atlanta election workers of smuggling fraudulent ballots for Joe Biden in suitcases. Yeah, by the way, and that was, I believe, the mother and daughter in Atlanta. Him and Trump and everybody who participated in that wrecked their lives. Was Ruby Freeman, was that one of their names? putting their names out there and really just ruining their lives and putting their safety in jeopardy over nonsense that they made up. They made this stuff up. Trump put their names out there, said that Ruby Freeman is a vote hustler, and everyone knows it. This woman who had never been accused of anything like that, not even remotely, and all of a sudden, the president of the United States at the time is just putting that out there, putting her life in danger. And, you know, it's so unconscionable. And all of you who continue to support him, despite doing that kind of thing, that is unconscionable to me. I don't know how anyone who continues to support him is able to do that with a clear conscience. You know, the people who were put in jeopardy over this completely made up nonsense. I mean, that's just one example, or two examples, actually. So disgusting. The Democratic state legislators previously recounted to CNN grand jury testimony they were asked to give in the district attorney's probe that covered Giuliani's conduct. They said they testified about Giuliani's appearance at a December 3rd, 2020 Georgia Senate subcommittee hearing during which Giuliani pushed false claims of mass election fraud. Numerous state and federal officials have debunked Giuliani's claims of fraud in Georgia, a state that Biden won by nearly 12,000 votes. Byung, how do you say that? B-Y-U-N-G? Byung Pak, a former top federal prosecutor for the Northern District of Georgia, was among those who testified before the U.S. House Select Committee investigating the January 6th insurrection that Giuliani's claims of election fraud in Fulton County had been investigated by federal authorities and found to be untrue. Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis, a Democrat, has detailed the far-reaching scope of the investigation, saying that it includes potential, quote, solicitation of election fraud and making of false statements to state and local governmental bodies, conspiracy, racketeering, violation of oath of office, and any involvement in violence or threats related to the elections administration, unquote. Why would anyone even, not only, by the way, does it enrage me when people who are part of the process of carrying out these elections, like Ruby Freeman, for example, you know, they're put in jeopardy when people start making false claims about them and saying that they're doing something nefarious when with no evidence, they just make it up. Not only do they put these individuals in jeopardy, but who the hell would want to participate in that? I mean, we need people, right? We need people to do this. We need people to work at the polls and help us facilitate these elections. It's not automated. It's not, you know, we don't have the AI yet to do it. And even if we did, we wouldn't trust it, right? We don't have robots to carry these functions out for us of counting ballots and so forth, right? So we need people to do this. And people, I mean, I don't know if they get paid for that in Georgia or not. If they do, I'm sure it's not much money. But these types of things are usually a volunteer gig. You know, you want to do something for the community, for your city, your county, your state. You want to your country. You want to participate in a way that contributes to the facilitation of an election. So you go and you volunteer your time, or again, you're paid something nominal, but probably volunteering your time, right? We need people to do that, but who wants to do that? If you know that if the election doesn't go the way certain people want it to, you might find yourself under threat, violent threat. You might start getting death threats, for example, because that's what's ended up happening here. That's what happened to them in Georgia. Brad Raffensperger in Georgia he's shared recordings of the terrible death threats to him and his family. People menacing him and his family, people camping out outside their home and being aggressive and threatening. And this is how we're going to convince young people to get involved in civics and participate in the process, not only of going and voting, but actually helping to facilitate the process of counting votes and carrying out these elections, this kind of nonsense. Yeah, come on down. You know what? If you'd love to volunteer, we'd love to have you. We could use the help. You can count votes. You can direct people where to go, to at the polling place, whatever. Hand out I voted stickers, whatever. Oh, and by the way, just be aware, if the election doesn't go the way some people want it to go, you might end up getting death threats, and you and your family might be in under some sort of violent threat. And people might start accusing you of helping somebody steal an election. But yeah, we'd love to have your help. It's great that you want to participate. But just so you know, you might be in danger afterward. This is where we are now, thanks to the 2020 election. And yes, I do put this on Trump. Absolutely. This is where we are now. Trump and his acolytes and his enablers. And yeah, this is where we are. Where, we have to say to somebody, yeah, please, we need help. We need help doing this. We need help carrying this out. Will you help us? Will you come and count votes? But just so you know, if somebody isn't happy, they might threaten to kill you. But we'd love to have you come help out. That's where we are now. And I understand a lot of people are fine with that. A lot of people think that's great, The MAGA crowd thinks that's all just great. Oh, we got to make them afraid of us, right? That's how we win. We got to make them afraid. I mean, they don't come right out and say it, but that's they don't say it explicitly, but they say it implicitly. That's why they're okay with it. That's why they rationalize and justify all of it. Crystal says in the chat, this is regarding flying with a stent. Might be for threat of blood clots, pulmonary embolisms, and altitude, Matt. Has Glenn flown with doctor's note or something? Just guessing because doctors are cautious after surgeries. Not defending, just saying it might be a legit thing. Oh, yeah, no, I don't doubt that, Crystal. I think that's a perfectly valid point. And, maybe Giuliani can't get on a plane, but maybe he could travel by car. I mean, I'm sure someone could drive him there if he's expected to be in court. He shouldn't just be blowing off, I can't get on a plane, so I can't be there. I mean, that's, there's other ways to get there. But no, I mean, I think that's valid what you're saying, Crystal. Absolutely. I was being somewhat of a smart ass about it. I have no idea if Glenn has flown. I don't believe he's flown anywhere recently. Let's see. We are almost out of time. Is there a quick thing we can do? There is something about, I did see something about Social Security here on CNBC, but I don't think we, Abigail says, take the train, Rudy. Yeah, that's right. Take the train, Rudy. Come on. You're a man of the people, right? You certainly portrayed yourself that way as mayor of New York. President Biden would take the train. He likes trains. He used to talk about taking the Amtrak from Scranton, Pennsylvania. We're not going to have time to get anything else. I don't think so. We will begin to wrap up. Thank you all, everyone who participated today. Lots of calls, lots of great interaction in the Facebook Live chat. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you very much. And we got that fascinating call earlier. Oh, this is an interesting comment. Before we go, I do want to read this. Crystal says, the left threatens Supreme Court justices outside their homes, too. None of it from either party is okay, and there needs to be legislation to enforce and prevent. Homes and threats should be off limits to all protesters. I agree. And I don't like threatening come from any side. And, yeah, I don't like Supreme Court justices being threatened either. That is absolutely not okay. I agree with you, Crystal. I agree with you. Since we got that call from the jealous one, talking about his 185. Should we give him one more air horn? He's got 185 views on YouTube. Just remarkable. What a truly remarkable accomplishment. I just can't believe it. I think to finish up, we should play something from his band, Mailbox Dog, this track, Heaven's Door. You know, I've got a special remix of it here. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Yeah. We'll play this in honor of to commemorate his 185 views of on YouTube. That's just amazing. So we'll close out with this. And if you missed any part of today's show, it will be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org and at my website, MattConnarton.com. And that's it for me for now. I'm out, and I will talk to y'all a little bit later. Bye, everybody.
Matt Connarton, all he had to do was say, I'll talk to you tomorrow, we'll make an appointment, and I will help you the best way I can, and if I can't help you, I'll try to find you help. I could sit here all day long and tell you people that I'm a badass from New York, and I'm afraid of no man. Be a man, Matt. And I'm not saying that in a derogatory way, and I'm not saying that in a bad way.
Hello?
Yes. Is this Matthew?
Yes.
Okay, so what you've been doing is you've been talking to a recording of me, and this is live Crazy Joe calling into your show right now.
Oh, welcome to the show. It's wonderful to hear from you. How are you?
Well, I think, look, as far as the mental hygiene goes, New York is not going to bother with you.
Uh-huh.
So you have nothing to concern yourself with. And the fact that you take this humorously, I mean, I think it's great. You know, I mean, we're giving each other promotion, but your fans, most of them, I would say like 95% of them hate me because you have spread all kinds of lies about me. And I didn't start this war. All I wanted was help from you, and you refused to help me. And if your audience will understand that, we could have made an appointment. We could have made, like a get-together. Everything would have been fine. Now, I think this benefited us in the long run. I have to admit it, that this war, there's a lot of wars that happen between radio hosts, NBA teams, wrestling. Wrestling is synonymous with rivalries. So I accept that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I accept that.
Yes.
And you know, I wouldn't have said half the crap I said had you would have been a little bit more forthcoming with me. Now, I don't know if this was your intention to keep the rivalry up so, you know, you would have, because it's like I said, we had rivalry, and that could be a very good thing for both involved. But I'm getting sick of it because you are distracting me from me trying to make it. See, you have everything going for you. You have a studio that you could go to. You're equipped. You have professional equipment. What the hell do I have? I have professional equipment, but I have to do it in a most difficult way that you would, you have IPM Nation, which is almost the same thing as the Crazy Joe Show website. But the bottom line is that, if it wasn't for your show, if it wasn't for your show, your FM show, how would you succeed in being you are today? How would you do it?
Oh, I don't know. I'm glad I have this show.
So you are very fortunate. You know, you have a silver spoon in your mouth is what I'm trying to say.
I earned it.
I'm not jealous.
I don't have a silver spoon in my mouth. I earned it. I busted my ass to get here.
Right. But there's some of us who don't have that silver spoon and that silver lining with M&H like you do, because you have a professional studio. Everything is laid out for you. Nothing's laid out for me. You know what it is? It's not even the equipment. It's the fact that you have a built-in audience. Whenever you're on the FM band and you're a legitimate radio station, you have a built-in audience. Internet radio is a lot different. Now, I want you to admit that. Yes or no?
Oh, of course it is. Absolutely. I'm very fortunate to be here.
And don't you have to bust your cojones to get fans, to get people to listen to your show if you're strictly on the Internet? Do you know how difficult it is to get, especially on social media, who are selfish, self-absorbed?
I do know.
About themselves?
Yeah. No, I do know. I lived it. I did this
for valid points here.
I did this for 6 years before I had the opportunity to come to WMNH. It's hard. It's really hard.
Telling me you had an internet station way before MNH.
Yeah, I had IPM Nation I've had IPM Nation for like 20 years.
So let's agree on one thing. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden now you're taking my calls, and, you know, you called into my show. I know you like my show because my friends, they figured you out psychologically. You and your boyfriends, you love my show because you know it's like it's a show of shows. You know that, right?
I love your playlist. I love your taste in music.
You don't like my comedy?
I don't like the racist stuff.
Okay, well, that's for another time to discuss. But I think the comedy is great. The music is great. I know you agree with that, but you still listen to the show. I mean, you're not that offended. I mean, let's put it to you this way, Matt. You're not that offended. You don't like it, but you still listen to the show. And I'm sure you're not listening to the show just because of my playlist.
No, I am always curious. I've always said, so I love your playlist, and I think that when you're not being hateful, you are actually quite charming.
I try to be. But the thing is, I have talent. Look, I was going to do a show on my Face Crap page, which you have access to. I don't know how the hell you did it. And I was going to do a straight-up show like you would do. But I decided, nah, why do I have to prove myself to you? I mean, it's not like you're my boss or you pay my rent or, you know, you watch out for me as a big brother. I mean, I already asked for your help and you rejected me. And that's what started this whole confrontation.
Well, I didn't reject you, but I was in the middle of doing a live radio show when that all happened.
So why didn't you? Why? I understand that, and I acknowledge that. But why didn't you make an appointment with me? Why didn't you say, Joe? You know, do you realize? Because you kept texting me back and forth. We kept texting each other. Why didn't you say, hey, I'll make an appointment with you next week or whatever? I would have been good with that.
Yeah.
Do you realize that?
Well, I was making a suggestion, and you weren't taking my suggestion. I was saying use Google, use Gmail, try that. And I know you have a Gmail address because it was on your old website. I said use Gmail because you can send any size file. But you went right to getting upset and frustrated, and that's where the whole thing started.
I told you I don't know nothing about the computer. I mean, I figured if I couldn't do it on Yahoo and I couldn't do it on my other pages, you know what? Then I thought about it, and I said, yeah, I think, you know, maybe Matt's got something going there by telling me to use Gmail. But I never bothered with this stuff because I'm useless on the computer. You know, I have a slight learning disability when it comes to computers and stuff. I mean, for me to admit that takes a real man. But it just went south. It went crazy.
Yes.
And I don't want to have this rivalry with you. I'll be honest with you. I don't particularly care for you, But in a lot of ways, I do like you. But, you know, I think you dislike me a lot because of my show policy. And you either accept it or you don't accept it. I'm not going to be a different kind of person just because it makes you happy. I'm not going to drop my bits or my what you call racial stuff because it offends you or offends your girlfriend or it offends half the state of New Hampshire. I'm a New Yorker. I'm like Howard Stern. Why do you think he got so popular? Because he broke the mold. He's not like everybody else. It's boring to be like everybody else. I'm unique, and I love it.
Yeah. What you don't know, though, I think about yourself is you don't need the the comedy bits, whatever. Some of them I don't like, but I mean, as far as like talking about, chocolatos and them
not all the time, Matt. It's
Jews
not all the time.
Right, I know, but you don't. Here's what you don't know. You don't need any of that because when you're just being you, I'm not saying don't be angry and don't lose your temper. That can be entertaining, but you don't need that other stuff. You can just be you without that. And like I said, when you're not doing the hateful bit, you are genuinely charming. And you could actually build an audience with that charm without bringing the other stuff into it. That's all I'm saying. The other stuff hurts you. It doesn't help you. You don't need the other stuff. You can be edgy, but without, using words like chocolatos and those people and things like that.
I don't think chocolato is a very offending word. It's not like it's the N word. And I am not a racist.
Well,
and you have accused me of that, which is definition of character. I lived in New York City my whole life. You can't be a racist living in New York City with all the different cultures over there. Your fan base doesn't understand that because they're from New Hampshire, so they don't know the real deal about the ghetto. They don't know about Chicago, the shootings, the drugs, the posses, the drug gangs, the cartels. I try to make light of that situation because the black people could do better than what they're doing now. But I even told you, I said, dude, if you're so into them, come to New York and hang out with them and extend your hand and see if they'll shake your hand. They'll probably punch you in the mouth.
Yeah, I don't even want to debate all that with you. I'm just telling you, you don't need it. That's all I'm saying. You don't need that. It's baggage you don't need. I don't
think the bits that I'm doing with chocolatos is that offending. I mean, I think it's pretty funny. Yeah. It was I did a bit where, the black woman was complaining about the black man and, the black guy was trying to, have a relationship with her. And, it was animated, but it was funny. And it had nothing to do with real racism. I just think you guys are too sensitive, you liberals. You take everything for face value instead of examining it. That's the real intelligence of a human being, to analyze what I'm playing. Do you understand that or no?
Well, I understand what you're saying, but what I'm just telling you is we live in a world where you're not going to get anywhere doing that stuff, but you're doing something you don't need to do. You literally don't need it. When you first started calling my show, way back when you first started calling my show, you were charming and you were funny, and you weren't doing any of that stuff.
Because I was for real with you, Matt. I was for real. Right. I wanted to like you. I wanted you to be my brother. I wanted to work with you. I wanted to be on IPM Nation. I wanted a gig at MNH. And I'm not going to get into all that, but what I'm saying is I was real. But when I started on the Face Crap page and started expressing myself, my anger towards society and the black culture and the white culture and the retro, that stuff that you guys played, that's for the G generation or whatever generation it is, it made me angry because we're being cast out. As an older generation, we're being ignored, we're being cast out, and we're not being respected. And I think that we should be respected, man, because we made life what it is today. If it wasn't for our generation, I don't think you guys would exist.
Well, that literally is true, but I'm just saying. But yeah, and that's all cool to talk about that stuff. Generational warfare is that sells. Actually, I'm just saying you don't need the racial stuff. I'm just saying you don't need it. That's all. It's a boulder that you're carrying around.
But I'm not a member of the Ku Klux Klan. You make me out to be a member of the KKK.
I understand.
I mean, the Dirk, he put a robe on me. Of course, I never look better. But the thing is, Howard Stern did the same thing. He did blackface, that thing with Whoopi Goldberg. He did some other black things. Look, if we don't laugh at this stuff and take it too freaking seriously, we're doomed as a society. I am not racist. I do not hate black people, but I hate the way they're acting today. What I'm saying is the bits that I do, it's just for fun, where everybody after a while goes, ah, ha, 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 and then the black goes, hey, he makes fun of the white guy. You know what I mean, in the bit. It's humor. It's meant to bring people together, not separate us. That's what I try to do in those bits that you don't like. Some of them are hardcore only because I know you're listening, and I know Jenny's listening, and I know some of the people out there listening, and I know how much you hate it. So I do it on purpose, on spite, to spite you, because you're not looking at things the way they should be.
But
it's humor. It's not meant to offend people, but it's not meant to be hateful. It's meant just to goof on us. Both black, white, Chinese, Oriental, Indian, Bombay, Kali Kale, Kala Kala. Do you understand the point?
Yes, I do. And I think this is my theory. I don't think underneath it all, I don't think you have any genuine hate in you. I don't think you actually hate people. And I think that you do these things in a provocative manner out of humor, but also out of a lot of anger. I think you're angry, and I think you've got a lot of resentment. But I'm just telling you, that specific aspect of it is holding you down. That's all I'm saying. I'm not talking about what I'm offended by or not offended by or what anyone's offended by. I'm just telling you that is holding you down. And if you lose that one thing, you can still be angry and all that, but just lose that one thing.
About my racial stuff. I was just saying to my girlfriend here, the great Marilyn, that Marilyn, you want to say something about this, because I know you got an opinion, and this is the first time me and Matt have actually talked serious without having to make fun of each other on different videos. What is your quick opinion of this? Go ahead, please.
Man, I totally understand what you're talking about. I mean, sometimes I used to look at him too, like what?
Yeah.
But he doesn't mean it that way. I mean, I know people will take it that way, but I don't even know. Should I tell him what you call it? Your tech guy. I mean, he doesn't hate black people.
I have a tech guy who's a black guy.
Yeah, I mean, his tech is a black guy. A great guy.
I understand.
I mean,
but the
ones he doesn't like are the ones that are committing the crime.
The rappers,
right? Not the educated, hard-working black man.
No, they're great. They're great.
They're just like anybody else.
Right.
Trying to make a living.
Wait, let's see what Matt said.
Yeah.
I get that. But the point of what I'm saying, Marilyn, is I'm not talking about what is or is not offensive to me or to anyone else. I'm talking about this one thing is holding him back.
I agree with you. He doesn't really need it. He's talented enough. He doesn't need it.
Right.
I mean, he can do other bits. It doesn't have to be like that.
Wait a minute, Matt. So you're saying I can't make fun of Mexicans? I can't make fun of Chinese?
Yeah.
Howard Stern did it all the time. How do you think he got so famous? It just happens that I don't have the same fame. I don't have the same fans. I don't have that power. So I went to you
not only that.
I met you.
But it's also a different time. It's the year 2022. When Howard started out, it was a long time ago, and you could do a lot more sort of racial humor that you couldn't do now. He's changed and he's evolved, and part of that is just him getting older and people change and evolve, but part of that also is times have changed. And
I totally agree with you, because I watched the old Jefferson show.
Yeah.
They would never ever make shows like that anymore.
Oh, listen.
I mean, they use the N-word. My favorite
sitcom in the history of television is All in the Family. Love All in the Family.
Yeah, me too.
You couldn't make that. You couldn't make that show today. But
right.
times have changed. If Joe loses that one thing, he could actually be successful. That one thing is what's holding him down. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Can I tell you something about All in the Family?
Yes.
When that came out, I was like 23 years old, maybe. My dad, he was about Archie Bunker's age. And, I mean, we were all in the family. Yeah. I mean, I was married. It was the same thing. My father was not really a bigot. He didn't hate anybody, but he was not as over the top as Archie Bunker, but he was just kind of like him.
Yeah.
He told you not to go out with the Chinese.
Yeah, one time, no, he was Japanese. One time I had a date with a Japanese guy, and I told my father.
He went crazy.
He did. He had oh my God, I probably shot his father over in Korea or wherever I said, geez, I'm not going to marry him, Dad. We're just going on a date, Yeah. I understand,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but what I mean is, I think today's times. You said you made a point. You can't get away with that today, like Howard, like we were talking about. But the thing is that maybe we need to bring that stuff back. We need to start laughing at ourselves. We need to make fun of ourselves because every culture in New York, especially in New York, okay, you can't talk about 98.9% white New Hampshire liberal leftist views. We're talking about New York. This is the epicenter, just like Los Angeles, Chicago, Washington, D.C. Maybe we need to bring back and make fun of ourselves, but in a good way, in a positive way, and say, oh, that guy's, I can't say it, of course, but you know what I mean. We need to just like humor up a little bit and stop taking things so serious. I think it makes it worse when we take it seriously, when we start calling each other the N-word. Seriously, if we just... I mean, it's a terrible word. I know that, but there's a lot of people who act like that, who are committing crimes and killing people and raping people. But if we can make fun of, the underlying thing, which is we're not racist, we don't really hate these people, we just disapprove of their behavior. Maybe we can, just laugh. I mean, the whole thing is to laugh and to, I don't know what there's another word for it, but just laugh at the nonsense, especially in New York. There's like 60 different cultures in New York. Yeah. You think everybody likes each other in New York? And it's becoming more and more minority in New York. The white man is being a minority in New York, and that's what makes me angry. That's what makes me. I want it fair. Why can't it be everybody equal? Why all these illegal aliens coming across the border illegally so the Democrats can have a voting power and then they'll never lose an election? This is called for like treason. This is treasonous behavior. Our country, yes, bring your poor, bring your disadvantaged. We got the Statue of Liberty there, okay? But when you do too much of it, Matt, then it becomes a serious problem. And as I'm not exactly white. I'm Hispanic. Yeah. Okay. But the thing is, I look white, I act white, I love rock and roll, and I love my white brothers and sisters. And I'm going to stick up for them because they're getting the short end of the stick with all these people coming in and taking the jobs and just being there. They take the money to Mexico. They have mansions over there. How come I don't have a mansion? How come you don't? You see, you don't understand, Matt, real quick. You don't understand because you're a victim of your own race. Your race is being put down like James Brown, and you don't do nothing about it or say nothing about it. You just think like, oh, we should be one nation under God and love everybody. It doesn't work that way. That's not real life. Madeline, do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. You think I'm right?
Yeah, because I don't live in a place that's 99% white.
Well, that's New Hampshire.
I don't, yeah.
And I vote for you to be governor.
I have to put up with everybody. We run across all kinds of people.
And look, Matt, I do support your candidacy for governor of New Hampshire. And if you did run, I'm sure your great fans and me would support you. Because I don't want to really fight with you. Look, you impress me. You say, I could say anything against Matt, and he just, you use the humor. I like that. Yeah. I mean, I've always admired you, but... you don't get along with me for some reason. Like I never got the gig at IPM. I would have done a straight show, Matt. There would have been no racism on IPM. There would have been no racism on MNH. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I realize that, but then if you have an association with IPM or with WMNH, and then you're also separately, because that's what you have to understand too. We live in a world where if you're working, it's like when Anthony Cumia got fired from Sirius XM. What he did that got him fired had nothing to do with the Opie and Anthony show, but because it happened on social media, they had to fire him, or they would have, there would have been a firestorm, and they would have been under all sorts of pressure to get rid of him. So it's like that kind of thing. Even if you had done a straight show, which I believe you that you would have, but then if you're doing a straight show, but then you're also going on and making videos and saying things that people take as offensive and racist, then that poisons what you'd be doing here. Do you understand what I'm saying?
You don't think the black people are racist against the white people, that they hold a lot of animosity throughout the years, which I supported the civil rights movement because I was involved with that with Martin Luther King. I was there when they shot him that night. Wow. I was there when they had the riots. I was there with Los Angeles. I mean, you don't think they're racist against the white people? See, they should be – all I'm doing is actually pinning it on them to say stop being racist, join our society, join America, be American. There's no such thing as white, black, Chinese, or dark. We're one country under God. But a lot of these people don't want to be American. They want to keep playing the race card. The media plays the race card. Society plays the race card. I mean, come on, man. I mean, you and I could agree to the cows come home. But I'm only addressing the world. That the world is antagonizing, and the media antagonizing the race relations between white and black people, and I think it's wrong. And I don't know what else to say about that, Matt.
Well, you're expressing a lot of views that are very sort of conservative, but sort of right wing, but also mainstream right wing conservative, and I don't think there's anything wrong. I mean, I don't agree with a lot of what you said, although I agree with a little bit of it. But what I'm saying though is I don't think there's anything wrong with what you're saying in terms of your show. But where you get into, like, for example, and I know you don't like Billy Painter, obviously, but when you call Billy Painter an N-lover, and worse, you actually say the word.
No, I did that on purpose. I was a juvenile when I did it, and I'm from New York, and we don't take any crap. And if you offend us or piss us off, we're going to get you right back, regardless of who's right or wrong. Later on, it could be sorted out. I mean, I used to have a lot of enemies on the radio, CB radio. I've been in CB radio 50 years, but some of these people turned out to be my best friends because we knew that fighting was really not going to solve the problem. Yes, we did it for a long time, but then we just put our guns down and said, look, you want to negotiate this? You want to be a human being about it? And I would do the same thing with Billy because, but he deplatformed me, where I would never do anything like that, regardless of what I said. And if I did say that the end thing, lover thing, I think it was justified because he offended me. He hurt me. He got me off the air. I would never do that in 1,000 years. And, Matt, I may talk a lot of gaga about you. Oh, I'm going to call mental hygiene, call FCC and all that. But you know what? The bottom line is that's not going to solve the problem between you and I. What solves the problem is that we can act like civil and human beings and help each other because we're broadcasters. Not because you like me or I like you or you're crazy about me, because we're in the same freaking business. And Billy was in the same business too. I didn't say nothing to this guy. He says I wanted help. I don't know. He just twisted everything around. And I blocked him and I ignored him and then he got offended. But and even you said you're not into deplatforming, which I thought was right on the money. And again, I do have a lot of respect for you, Matt. I don't think you realize it.
I think I do. You've told me that before. I mean, I don't. I
don't hate you, brother. No, I don't hate you, brother. I think you're a great.
No, I don't.
You should be a psychiatrist. I mean, some of the stuff. A lot of people. Anyway, you want to go? Yeah, okay. I'll go. This is the most important conversation I've ever had because I'm actually trying to not do this anymore and then I have nothing to talk about, and my videos are going to be boring. You realize that, right?
Well, that's why this stuff is fun, because I don't take any of this personally.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know
what I mean?
how mentally you can do it, because I said a lot of very mean things about you and your girlfriend, and but I like to keep the girlfriend separate as far as our, we don't like each other for a lot of the reasons you said, but at least I could deal with you on a more personal human level. I can't deal with your girlfriend like that because, she's mean to me. And, Marilyn, what do you say about that? She's mean to me.
Well,
he says that your girlfriend is mean to him.
I
think, you know what? I know some of the things he's said, too. And he's been pretty damn mean.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah.
I know that. And you know something, though? I'm going to tell you something, too. If him and I have an argument, he hits below the belt every time. He calls me names. I know he doesn't mean it. That's why I'm still with him. I know that he just can't help himself.
Yeah.
These terrible things come out of his mouth. And like he was arguing with me today, and I don't know, he was saying things that that he shouldn't be saying.
We were actually arguing about me not getting enough fans.
Yeah.
I try to make friends on social media. I'm trying to do all these different tactics.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few ideas that might be successful, and I was trying to get her to understand, but she doesn't understand.
I do.
Well, go ahead.
I understand perfectly well, but I don't say too much because I don't do radio and I don't do these things, and I don't know much about the computer.
Yeah.
I've never needed to use a computer. I was a hairdresser, and back in the Stone Age, we didn't put everything on computer. We put things on cards and. We made our appointments with appointment books, and, I never got into the computer. Now, maybe if I was only starting out today, it'd be a lot different. I'd be young, and I'd probably do all of that. But he doesn't like it because I'm not interested much in the computer. So he started calling me old-fashioned, and, oh, you don't know nothing, you're stupid. And all I said to him, is that all you got, Joe? Because,
And, another good point, Matt. I'm 65 years old, not 100, and I'm getting into a young man's game with the internet and the audio streaming and because I got a background on you. I heard through my friend that you offer websites, you do this, you do that, you do a lot of IT stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You're out there selling yourself, which is amazing. And, for my age, you have to give me my due that I'm in a young man's technology. We didn't have this technology where I grew up. What do you say about that? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I absolutely do, yes. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And, it is I struggle to keep up with it all. The technology moves so quickly, and, yeah, absolutely. But,
well, anyway, I think I battled your ear long enough. I think what I'm saying through this whole conversation, just to end it now, because we're going to get something to eat, and we're in the car and we're suffocating here. I'm suffocating physically, with the heat and everything.
Yeah,
but I had to talk to you that somebody else, who's involved with this too, suggested that me and you would call a truce, have an understanding. Look. If you let me call your show and you don't blow me off and because this will benefit us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your audience is going to love it. I'm the guy that you need on your show. I'm not asking for anything in return. You know what I would like, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'll stop making videos about you. Of course, I'll have nothing to say, but I think I'll find something to say.
Well,
I'm going to talk about this conversation tonight or whatever night, and that it was a positive thing, I hope. And, people just get tired of the same thing. It benefited us in the beginning, but I think now it's played out. Unless you think it's worth it, we could get back into it again. But I don't want to do that because you let me call in now, and you didn't do that before, and you were Xing me out, and that offended me, and that made me more angry. You know that, right?
Yes, of course.
I want to be on the show. I don't care if your people hate me or don't hate me. It's going to be good for you. It's going to be good for me. I promise I'm not going to say nothing bad. I'm not going to say anything negative toward you. we had this relationship before, and I don't know what happened. I guess I was asking you to be on IPM, and then you would tell me the logistics of it, and MNH, and you would tell me that, and then I got mad. I said, that son of a b, you know, I know that he can, you know, stick out for me, or maybe you can only do what you can do, you know?
Yes, it's all a little bit of a blur, to be honest, but all right, but I don't mind the videos. I appreciate the publicity. So
yeah, well, that's fine, but like I said, I'm trying to be.
You're trying to be more positive
toward you.
Yeah,
because I respect you and I do like you, but when you disappoint me, I get very angry with you.
Well, I just hope, though, one thing I hope that you take from this conversation is I just hope you think about what I said, because what I said to you was it was the same thing. If you were paying me as a consultant, it's exactly the same thing I would have said to you. If you just lose the racist, you know what? If you don't think it's racist, fine, but you know what other people perceive as racist. So if you just,
but I've done a show without it. I've done a show without it.
Right.
Even I could do it.
If you,
I was just trying to be like Howard. Make fun of
He isn't even doing that anymore because of the way.
Well, he became a liberal. He's not the same Howard anymore.
He always was a liberal.
He sold out to Jimmy Kimmel.
No, I don't believe that. He always was who he is, but he was like you. He was a shock jock. And now he knows that don't go over anymore.
It doesn't, and that's my whole point. I'm just telling you. Just think of me as a consultant for a moment. I'm just
okay.
This is my advice. You can like it or lump it, but this is my advice. Just lose that one thing, and I think you can actually build an audience. I really
now,
do.
Can he talk at all about different cultures?
Sure.
As long as he doesn't do it in a derogatory way.
Yeah, or just don't use ethnic slurs or variations of ethnic slurs, or just don't get into that. I mean,
because sometimes I've run into Spanish women and they're hilarious. You know, I mean, some of the things that they say, and you know the way they say it, especially if they got really bad broken English.
There's a way to do that.
There's a lot of fun in different cultures.
No,
there
is.
Sure that you know.
No, there's a positive way to do that. You just have to do it without coming off coming off hateful.
You don't want to make fun of people either. I understand that too.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a tough. Look, it's a tough line to walk. It is not. It is not easy.
Yeah, you better maybe think on it hard.
Well, I want to be like. Not that I want to be like Matt, but I want to join his society. I want to be accepted, and because Matt could do a lot of good things for me. And even though we were fighting and we were saying derogatory things, I wanted to join his society because his society is a lot of fun. He's got the FM, he's got the IPM, he knows a lot of people. I want to be in his circle.
Yeah.
But that's up to him.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't accept me in his circle, then I'm going to start talking about more chocolatos.
All right.
What do you think of that there, buddy?
Well,
you know I'm only kidding, right?
I do. Well, I hope I have helped you. I hope you'll take
Matt,
my
you've
advice.
always been an inspiration to me because I like your style. You're a smooth operator.
Thank you.
And you know I've kissed your ass before, but only because I wanted things from you. But you never gave me anything. Now, if you start giving me stuff, then maybe I'll behave myself.
Yeah. Well,
maybe we could work out some kind of arrangement. I mean, I can always talk to you on the cell phone or text you and have you call me, and you know, because the text stuff is just nonsense. I hate text.
Yeah.
I'd rather talk to you like a human being, and I would do anything to talk to you as a human being.
Right. Well,
seriously.
Yeah. No, I get it. I appreciate that, and like I said,
I'm not the enemy that you think I am. Believe me, and I know that you take it the right way. Because if you didn't, you'd be after me.
No,
we'd be after each other. We kill each other.
Nothing you've ever said about me has hurt my feelings. To me, it's
all.
I'm
glad.
I'm entertained by it all. For the record, I don't like when you insult Jenny because she's the woman that I love, and I don't.
No, I understand that, and I feel bad about that in a lot of ways because I don't want to offend you.
Yeah.
Well, she got to apologize to me. You know, she gave me a rough time on the Charles Richardson show. I called there. I was straight up and everything, and she started antagonizing me, like a little, like she was immature, like we were in the 5th grade. I mean, come on, you know.
Well, perhaps that perhaps that can't be mended, I suppose. But just for the record, so obviously I don't like that. But nothing you've said about me has hurt me. I laugh at it all, and it's publicity and it's fun, and I don't mind it.
Well, why do you think I'm talking this way to you? Because I know that it just brushes off your shoulder, and maybe if you saw me in person, you'd like to take a swing at me, but whatever, you know.
Unlikely. I'm not.
I would be very happy if you didn't do that.
I'm not a violent. I'm not a.
Because it would make me very happy, and then I would have even higher thoughts about you. That you are a civilized human being. I'm a civilized human. Listen, I hate violence.
Yeah.
You know, when I drove that cab in the city, oh my God, my life was on the line several times. You know.
Yeah.
And I think I had to have a certain mentality. You have to if you don't understand city driving and the cab driving business. They just murdered the cab driver the other day.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah, he had 5 people, took them out to a rough area of Queens. They walked out, and he chased them, and they hit him, and they killed him.
Jesus Christ. Wow, that's awful.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I think an ideal society would be that everyone, no matter what color or race or anything, we all get along.
Yeah.
And have a great life. That would be the ideal existence, but it's very difficult. Anyway, I'm going to say, as a CB radio, 73rd and kind words across the land, across the band. You know who this is. Don't play dumb. They call me Worldwide Nation Station, and I'm back out. We'll talk further.
All right, Joe. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.